Hey guys, Jennifer Dixon here with Yoga East, and this morning, my time here, I thought I would talk a little bit about some postpartum boat poses, postpartum Navasana. My son is 8.5 months old, a whopping 24 plus pounds, and so I am on the tail end of recovering from some I'm going to call it post-traumatic stress syndrome on my belly, right? When you give birth to a almost 9-pound baby or any sort of baby, when you have a baby, this area has some trauma, some stress to it. So I remember the first time that I went to try to do boat pose, like after the doctor said I was okay. So it was like 6 weeks to the day, because I was bound and determined to get my abdominal strength back, because without the abdominal strength, I get massive low back pain. So the very first time I sat down to try to do boat pose, I sat down because in my head I can do boat pose, right? I've been doing boat pose for years. I sat down and I picked my feet up and my legs just went, whoa. There was no more muscles. They were stretched out. They just housed a little bitty baby for, almost 40 weeks. So I was shocked. So I thought today I would spend just a couple of minutes talking about how I worked from not even being able to hold my legs up and then falling to being able to get into the full expression of a boat pose. This did not happen overnight, guys. It didn't happen like in a month. I know there are lots and lots of women out there, and more power to you, that can just bounce right back. I wasn't one of those. And whether you're 6 weeks postpartum or 60 years postpartum, these modifications to boat poses are going to work for you. They're going to help to build strength in your transverse abdominals, which will ultimately relieve some pressure off the low back. So if you're suffering from low back pain, I submit that if we work on this area, then it will help. So I've already done a video on the chaturanga, which is, basically low plank. We're not going to talk about that. Today we're just going to talk about Navasana, or boat pose. Full expression of boat pose. You have a flat back, your chest is up, so there's like a string pulling your chest up. Your hands are out, palms somewhat facing each other. They're not hanging out down low like this, because that disengages here in the obliques. You want to keep the obliques engaged, right? So they're more straight out in front of your shoulders, straight out. And then the full expression has your legs straight out in front, toes, feet together, legs together. Now this takes a tremendous amount of transverse lower abdominal muscles. So if you are 6 weeks postpartum, that's going to be really hard. So here are some steps that we can do to get there. Step 1 is you're going to sit here. Do you see my back is straight? I'm not rounding. Back is straight, and I've got somewhere between a 45 and 60 degree angle. Now you can hold on to your knees if that's necessary. This you'll feel as you lean back. You're going to feel your abdominal muscles working. The next step, and remember to always try to look forward, the next step is to try to let go of those knees. Now, this can be pretty challenging, especially if you're 6 weeks postpartum, 60 years postpartum, never doing it. So be kind to yourself. This is a super great way just to build strength holding it statically. Now, if you want to work up and do a few drills, you can bring your hands here and small movements. So my hands are here at my heart center, crossed over, and I'm moving, not very much, 30 maybe to 60 degrees. But keeping the back straight, keeping the belly engaged, this is working those transverse abdomen muscles. So that might not make us the six-pack abs that we want for beach season, but what it's going to do is provide the stability along the spine that we need. And what it's also going to do is build strength, because what you'll find if you do this several times a week, 2, 3, 5 days a week, just holding here or creating small movements, not too far down, not too far up. That'll disengage the abs if you go too far up. And if you're really weak here, postpartum, you don't want to go down too far either, because that'll sink into the back. So really small movements, and you'll probably feel your hip flexors engaging here too. That's okay. They're trying to build strength, and these belly muscles are. So that's step 1, hanging out here. Then maybe letting go. And then after you've let go and you're feeling pretty confident, maybe you do some pulses. You can do some pulses with your hands at heart center, or you can do your pulses with your hands extended out. And so by pulses, I mean work up to 25, and then maybe you work up to like 2 sets of 25. And I promise you, once you're able to do a couple of sets, 2, 3 sets of 25, you're going to notice a difference immediately in that postpartum low back pain. I know I did. So, because that means that your belly muscles are getting stronger. And when your transverse abdominals are engaged, it's like 40% decrease in pressure in the low back. And when you are lugging around a adorable little butterball, you've got to have those transverse abdominal muscles there to protect your low back. So the next step, after we feel pretty confident here in this modified boat, either holding on to the knees, the backs of the legs, hands extended with pulses, is then we work on lifting one foot and hold. Hey, Ruger. And then maybe you work on lifting both feet and hold. Now, your feet are about hips width distance apart when your knees are bent. They can come closer together. Play with that and you'll see the difference in the muscles that are required. We're working towards bringing those knees together. Now, if you want, this is pretty difficult, you can try to do pulses. I would submit to you that 6 weeks postpartum, we're going to hang out here. And then for a few weeks, we're going to hang out making the muscles remember what to do. They've been stretched out, right? They just had a baby. And then after you've gotten to the point where this is pretty comfortable, then you play with one foot. How long? It really depends. It really depends on how frequently you're being able to practice, how frequently you're being able to work on these muscles. And, you know, it's just a matter of everybody's different. So don't give up. So step one. Here we go. Lifting one leg, lifting the other leg. And now you hold this. Maybe you can only hold it for like a breath. And then you're like, oh, thank God. But see what I'm doing? I'm bringing my knees to my chest and I'm holding them in. Guess what? Your belly is still working here, even when you're holding your knees in. So the next goal would be, after you've taken your one breath with a bent knee, bring those knees into your chest, give them a squeeze. Now let's let go of the knees and see if we can hold on to them. See if we can hold the knees in. Yes. Now you'll find that engages the transverse abdominals and the hip flexors, something fierce. So especially postpartum, this is exceptionally difficult. So let's recap again. Step one, maybe we include some pulses. Let's call it 1.5. You lift up a foot. Maybe step two is you lift up both feet. Once this is hard, 1 to 5 breaths, bring those knees in. Give it a squeeze. Just take a breath here, then let go of the knees, but hold it up. Woo, maybe you hold it up here for 5 breaths. Give it a break. Just holding those knees in with your arms. That's giving your belly and your hip flexors a little bit of a break, but not tons, not completely relaxing them. And now let's try to engage them another different way. Hands out, and then let the toes come down. Maybe they just barely touch. Maybe they don't touch at all. I'm going to do just 5 for example's sake. So maybe that was 6. And then you bring them back into your chest and give them a break. So what's that doing? When our legs are out and we're holding them, we're working on the transverse, those lower abdominal muscles, deep down muscles, the obliques, and the hip flexors, and we're able to get them engaged in just slightly different ways. So here's a static movement, holding that boat pose with bent knees. Here's another static movement, and when you let it go, it's static. And now here's a slight movement. That's all requiring your abs to work. It's all rewiring those muscles that want to work. They just held a little baby, right? So eventually, after you've practiced this 3, 5, 6 days a week for a while, and again, everybody's different. Just go easy on yourself. You're probably sleep deprived. I know I still am, even though my son is almost 9 months old. And you probably got a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So getting the abdominal strength back is like extra credit, okay? So you kept your kid alive, and you're hopefully, I don't even want to say bathed, because when they're 6 weeks postpartum, sometimes I didn't get a shower. No judgment. Okay, so after, the whole point of that is go easy on yourself, okay? And just keep practicing. After a while, you're going to find that this is easy-ish, this is easy-ish, and this is getting to be where it's tolerable. Then what do? You work on straightening your legs. Now, this is a matter of how open your hammies are too. So if your hammies aren't super open, your straight legs might be a little bit bent knees. I'm not super warm right now. So how do we work the strength up to do this? Check it out. I'm holding on to the backs of my legs. This is creating some muscle memory. I would wait to do this, honestly, until I was comfortable with this bent knee for maybe 3 to 5 breaths, 3 to 5 reps in a row, bringing it in to practice. So, and maybe even some of these pulses. Wait to straighten it, because what's that going to do? That can create a little bit of pressure in the low back if your belly's not quite strong enough. So what am I doing? I'm holding on to the backs of my thighs, trying to rotate my inner thighs towards each other. You'll find that creates some space in the low back, and it enables me to lengthen through my toes, straightening my legs, chest is proud. And eventually, this will become easy-ish, and then you'll do the same sort of drills, so to speak. We'll go straighten, hold it, 3, 4, 5 breaths, bring it in, maybe you never squeeze it in, and then pulse. And then maybe you squeeze it in, maybe you don't, but then you do it again. I promise that the belly and the ab muscles, they want to work. They want to come back. They also wanted to house that little bitty baby. So just give yourself a little bit of compassion. Practice the boat poses. Practice and all will come. That's what Patabi Joyce always said. Practice and all will come. So keep it up. You don't have to have a super fancy place to practice, clearly. You don't have to wear super fancy clothes. The only thing you need is a floor, preferably something a little bit more soft than a concrete floor. You don't even have to have a yoga mat. Just get down to the floor and engage your belly and do it. Do it just a few times, 3, 5, more times every so many days. If you can do it 6 days a week, awesome. If you can't, if you can only do it a couple days a week, doing it one day is better than no day. So just do it. And I promise that you'll be able to tell a difference in those abdominal muscles, and you'll be able to tell a difference in low back pain. And here's the thing, it'll make carrying that adorable butterball so much easier when these guys get their strength back. Again, my name is Jennifer Dixon. I'm with Yoga East, and we are located on East Brainerd Road in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Check us out online at yoga-east.net, and we are going to be building more content here on YouTube as the days and weeks go on. So if you ever have any questions or comments, fill them out below, and I will do my best to address them all. Thanks a lot, you guys, and have a great day.